So welcome everyone to another brand new episode of Far From Home Talks podcast. This podcast is a place where I bring guests or immigrants actually who come from their home country to a different country for study or work, and they share their experiences with me and to the viewers as well. So today with me I have a guest who is my classmate and she's from Kerala, India. So let's just welcome Devika to the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, Alan. How are you?
I'm good. So, कैसे हो?
Told you multiple times I'm a Malayali.
I don't know. Whenever I see you, automatically somehow
You start speaking in Hindi like every single time this happens.
I have a feeling that I will get a Bollywood vibe from you.
Oh, I've never heard that one. Bollywood vibe.
So that's why I speak Hindi. Let's just start with get to know you better. Where are you from and why are you here and when you arrived here.
So, as you mentioned, I'm from Kerala, India, more specifically Trivandrum, and I came here in January of last year, so last winter intake. And why I came here is a question that I still ask myself every single day. It's like when I'm tired from why did I come here? No, but I think from a really young age, I always wanted to be independent. I wanted to be on my own, achieve something for myself. I remember when me and my mom were together at home, I used to tell her, when I was really young itself, I want to go to US because that's the only place I knew back then. And I want to go to US for my higher studies. I want to work at McDonald's, make money for my own, and then pay for my education. And that kind of, I think, stuck with me as I grew up. And once I finished my bachelor's, I was just thinking, okay, what to do next, my master's, or I tried interning at a couple of places, trying with a few jobs, but then I understood how the pay rate is in India. And to be specific, I studied journalism. So the starting rate for a journalist, you won't believe it. For a reporter, for a field reporter, the starting salary is about 16,000 per month. That's it.
Dollars?
No, rupees, man. If it was dollars, I'll stay back home itself. So I knew that it was not worth it, staying there. That's why I finally, it all made sense, all the pieces came together, and that's how I ended up in Canada, I guess.
Okay, nice. You completed PR or public relations, and currently you are pursuing digital communication management. So, you have obviously applied for a student visa.
Yeah.
Have you experienced any difficulties in obtaining visas?
To be honest, I was one of the lucky people who did not face a lot of issues with my visa in particular. But what got me was my loan. So I took an education loan before coming here, and this is something that I wanted to speak out for a long time, on my own as well.
Oh, nice!
It's it's my loan procedure. I'm not kidding you. I was thinking of making this whole ass video about this thing, but I took a loan from SBI because everyone says that it's the best bank. My lord. It was so bad. Their customer service is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
To a point where I had to literally go to the bank manager one day, and this happened over a span of 3 months, I think, and a good chunk of that went into bank holidays and so on.
Yeah.
And I really didn't want to waste any more time after I finished my study. So I wanted to come in Jan itself. And it was around September time. I kept checking in with my bank manager, and she was like, yeah, we'll do it, we'll send it. And if you don't know anything about loans from SBI, after it's just sanctioned by the branch manager, they'll do all the background check and all. It should go to another branch called RASMEC where they process the loan, right? Yeah. And I got to know after 3 months, after being in touch with the bank, that they never sent it to RASMEC in the first place. And when I went back and checked with the bank manager, she was like, I forgot about it.
What an excuse.
I was like, you forgot about it? This was a time when I got a mail from Fanshawe saying that your payment is due, if you don't do it by now, your admission will be cancelled. I literally, Alan, when I tell you, I literally had to go to that bank manager that day and cry in front of her. I was a rank holder back home, right?
Okay.
I was gonna cry. I cried in front of her saying that, see, all my friends are studying at some places. If I do something, it is going to be on you. Like literally, that's
Yeah.
3 months of my life I've just wasted, like calling you, checking back with you
And
for
forgot.
nothing, and just for you to say I forgot.
Forgot.
The and it's still like to this day, like when I check back with her, like when is my loan due, when is my payment being done, that's nothing. I would say like for anyone, I don't know how many students are gonna see this, how many potential students who want to come in are gonna see this, but if there's anyone who wants to come in here, don't go and take a loan from SBI. It's just not worth it. Like literally, I want to repay that loan and then like cut all ties with SBI. That's literally how mad I am. But that's like honestly the only like difficult thing I had for my whole visa, considering that this is like a very key element to a visa, right? But after that I was quite lucky because of all this shenanigans, my the time I kept for my visa, like for coming in Jan, was November end. So there was, and yeah, I kept my I filed my visa on November.
And you came.
Yeah,
January.
that's why I was telling you.
You got it quickly.
I got it, and during that time, like the wait period was like 2 months, 3 months, and I was like almost certain that I was not gonna go in Jan. I literally didn't book my tickets. I had no way of accommodation, nothing. I didn't do my purchases, but I kept it on. I remember I filed my visa, did my biometrics on 27th of November. I got my visa accepted on December 9th.
Nice.
And yeah, I got like my passport back between 14th.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, that like until I touched like Canada, I wasn't sure, like, because in my mind it was so much that I'm gonna come in next September, because that's when public relations had its next intake.
Yeah.
In my mind I was set to come in next September. Like I was looking for jobs back home. And it all happened, I guess. That's why I was telling you, I was one of the very lucky ones who got my visa process.
Nice. So did you get the plane air ticket quickly, like after you like getting a visa, and like you had to come in January? So.
Yeah, so I was in touch with my agency, like all of my applications, everything was done through my agency. Whose name I'm not revealing because they're not the best. They're not the best. I'm not giving them free publicity.
Don't reveal anything, any names or like any organization.
No,
here.
Nothing. But I'm gonna
tell in general, like agency like that.
So I got in touch with the agency, and they were able to book a flight for me for, I think I came in on the 22nd or something. But yeah, it was not bad. It was a lot of layovers though, but not bad.
Okay, nice. What challenges did you face when you like arrived here in Canada?
Oh, that's a lot. I didn't know how to cook. This was a huge thing. Okay, so my kind of like process, like how it goes in my mind was, you know how it is back home. Women are always expected to cook. They are expected to stay in the kitchen. So something in me just like the rebel in me started this thing where I'm like, I'm not going to cook. That is how I'm going to show my rebellion against this, which I now understand is so stupid of me, because it is nothing related to women being in the kitchen. It is a necessary, it is a survival thing. So I never learned how to cook, and my mom didn't force me to learn as well. But coming here, I kid you not, for the first 3 months I survived on Maggi, bread and sausage, the ready-made chapati
Maggi
that we
is
get.
Noodles, by the way.
Then the ready-made chapati that we get here, tortillas, that's all I survived on. And it was very, very bad, and that was like very challenging for me. And then because I've never left home, I've always lived with my parents, I didn't know how everything else worked. And things started getting very real when I had to start doing my own laundry, doing my dishes. And it got even worse when I had to like get a part-time job and then manage my studies with all of this. So I was just put into a whole new world, and now thinking back at it, I've developed so much as a person. Like I'm super independent now.
Mm.
Like just I was talking to my mom last day saying that I filed my taxes. I'm super adulty like that. So
Yeah.
like everything, like managing a credit card,
Yeah.
those are all like, they seem like very trivial things, but when you're doing it for the first time, when you come into a new country as a 20 something year old, I think that was pretty challenging, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, I think like when we get past the age of 18, like usually like everywhere we are called adults.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I feel that when we file taxes for the first time, that is
That is when you're adult.
that is the time. Yeah. Okay, so what's the most surprising cultural difference that you have found, like in comparison to India? Yeah.
Culture difference. I don't know how many people I'm gonna offend by saying this, but people are
Nice.
so much kinder. People are so much nicer.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's just the way of like sugarcoating things, maybe by
Yeah.
please and thank you or whatever it is, but every job has a respect of its own. Like if I work as a retail salesperson, I work on the floor, and I oftentimes think of a situation if I were like back home and I was working the same job, like the reaction people would have towards me compared to here. Yes, you go through shit. Yes, to take shit from people. You go through crappy days once, but in general, like people have that respect for everyone. People have the politeness to everyone. They have a respect for your time, for for the effort you're putting in, for the job that you're doing, and that is kind of something that I love about Canada. Obviously, as I've mentioned, there are bad days, there are bad incidences as well, but in general, when I take a look, 100% like the niceness, the politeness here.
Yeah. Yeah, like the last episode, the person like mentioned that they had like a bad experience of sort. Like it depends on what all experience. Yeah,
100%, yeah.
it depends on all the people. Like different people have different experiences.
Yeah.
So like it depends on everyone. Yeah, person to person. Yeah.
Exactly, and that is like one of the beauties of this podcast, I would say. Like different people
Yeah.
have their different experiences, opinions, and it's a
That is
place.
the aim of this podcast, like bringing different people from different countries, and like chatting with them and knowing their experiences of moving from their home country to a different country for work or study.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I hope to go on, I don't know how long.
No, we should do this. I think it's a good platform for people to share their feelings, and like I can see, like if I was a student who was about to come in, like hearing all these experiences would give them a clarity on if it's a good decision or not. Yeah, 100%. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no, thank you. What do? Yeah, leave it.
Sure, fans.
Did you had any like cultural experience in your studies or workplace?
Culture experiences and culture difference, like good or bad.
Both, yeah.
Both. Not much, I would say. I adapted quite well, if I say for myself, but everything is different here. Like let's be honest, if you compare it to back home, everything is different. The studies are vastly different. You don't have exams like pen and paper exams anymore. It's all based on assignments. Yes, that took a little bit of understanding, like a little bit of time to get used to, because I'm such a last minute person, you know this by now. Like if an assignment is due tomorrow at 11:59, I'll start working. Okay, 10 o'clock, it's time to start. So like back home also I was like that, right? So day before exam is when I start preparing and when I give the exam and all. But here, like since it is so assignment based, you have to stay on top of things, otherwise you're gone. Like you have to understand, like if this date is passed, you won't get the mark for that, right? And it might be like very very small assignments, but you still have to remember to keep it if you want to pass. So that was like something fun. And at my workplace, again, like everything is different to what I was used to before. But yeah, nothing was like that.
Okay, sure. what advice would you like to give to the policymakers or governments, like in to support the immigrants back home as well as here? Like, let's first start with back home.
To the policymakers back home, just for general or
In
for the
terms of
immigrants? To immigrants specifically, I am not entirely sure, but to the people, when I always hear like politicians or be it anyone, like any public figure talking about the fact that all the students here, all the youth are immigrating to
Yeah.
other countries, like what are we gonna do here? That is a question they have to think of their own,
Their own, yeah.
right? They have the answer in front of them, and yet they are asking the public. They are blaming the students, they're
Yeah.
blaming their parents for them, for helping them migrate.
Yeah.
But they never think for themselves, like, why are these students migrating? We have a vast majority. If you see, like, if you take the case of Fanshawe itself, you can see how many Indians are here.
Yeah.
Like, India is one of the top like countries who has whose immigrants or people are here in Canada. I think that all reflects back to like the quality of life back home.
Yeah.
And we usually have this conversation between me and my friends where like there's a huge political influence, like influence of politics in people's life.
Yeah.
Like even though I hate to admit it, it is true that if you have some political connection, you have power. If you have money, you have power. And that is kind of the thing back home, right? No matter how much you study, you can work like a dog. At the end of the day, if you don't have money, if you don't have that political power, you are no one. And that is something that I extremely dislike, and that was again one of the motivating factors which motivated me in the first place to leave that place. But yeah, this is something that the policymakers should really rethink when they're asking this question of why the youth is leaving the place. Might be because of the lack of jobs, might be because of the salary range, might be because of the influence of politics itself.
Yeah, same with me. Like I felt that like there is like a political influence in every phase of, like, in whether it is in studies or like in general. And I felt that I won't be happy staying there.
Exactly,
like you need that satisfaction when you get from your work, when you go when you're back from your work and go to home and go to bed. You need that satisfaction. But
Exactly.
I felt that I won't get in India. That's why I moved.
I think that's a story of like a whole lot
Also.
of students who are here, like we're just sick of the system. That's why we came here, honestly speaking.
Yeah, but like not everyone, like some people are like going with the trend, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. They like many people, they just want to be here for all my friends are going to UK or Canada, why don't I go as well? There are people like that, but like once you give it a deep thought, you really understand like what the issue is.
Yeah, deep thought. And like when staying alone or like not dealing with the family or friends, you kind of realize that this might be a good decision. This was a good decision.
Yeah.
And do you have any advice to the policymakers here, like you said about like back home in India? Do you have anything to say, any advice to the policymakers or the immigrants?
Honestly, I am no one to comment on this but from a student's perspective, I can say like the work limit, about the work limit, right? So before it was 20 hours initially, then they raised it to 40 hours, and now there are talks that they might raise it to 30 hours, but still take away the full-time thing. But I just think that it's practically impossible for a person to work
and
20
study.
To work and study, that one, but just to work for 20 hours and survive without having any funds coming from any external sources, like back home, your parents supporting. It is close to impossible for a person to survive in just 20 hours of work. But on the other side, yes, it is a fact that the purpose that you came into the country is to study, not to work. So there are two sides of it again, but just from a student's perspective, I would say with the current economy, it is impossible to survive with 20 hours of work, especially at minimum wage. Yeah, that's not practical.
In the last episode with the person named Yukti, she told she gave the advice to the future immigrants that you need to go to abroad or any country if you have money.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I would completely agree. It's not like how it was before. Like surviving, like doing the necessary things, your rent, your bills, that is even getting difficult, and there's like a very tight budget there. If you're being provided with funds from back home, that is completely fine. Then again, to survive, I would say a little bit. But surviving, if you're planning to survive all on your own, like I've heard so many students say, I'm gonna go to that place and survive all on my own without any dependence, but that is getting difficult day by day.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Like, have you faced any discrimination or like racism in here in Canada so far?
Here and there, I'm sure, like, I hear some comments, I'm like, oh, but it's not generally towards me, but I'll share with you an incident that happened at one of the places that I used to work. So we usually have a lot of students coming in to give resumes. Like that's how you get jobs. Students come in, give resumes, and then it's up to the hiring manager. So 2 students, they came in, both of them were from Canada itself. They came in and they were speaking to my manager, and she was just telling them, yeah, she's hiring for a couple of people right now. You can drop your resumes, so and so. And then an Indian guy walked in, and I knew that we were hiring at the moment, so I was like, okay, talk to the hiring manager, she might be able to help you. But when he went and talked, she was like, no, I'm not hiring anyone at the moment. The problem, I don't know if it's just for like store diversity, or if she had anything else in mind, or if she is not really looking at it from the racism point of view, but it is an opportunity taken from an individual who really has equal rights. And that, in my book, I consider that to be a pretty racist move. So that is something.
Did you had any like funny incidents explaining your culture to anyone outside of your like country or like anyone?
I think a lot, like the current workplace that I'm at, me and my managers have a lot of like conversations about a lot of things. Like everything is like pretty different, like back home. I think the last conversation we had were about the buses, like how we have like a bus pass here, but back home we have like conductors in the bus who give you tickets like that. When I told them, I was like, really, that happens back home? Like a lot of things like that. And I think marriage is another huge one, like arranged marriages. That's a huge one here, because I had one of my friends ask me, so is arranged marriage is a real thing? Like, so you get married to people who you don't know? I'm like, yeah, sometimes it does happen. So yeah, like explaining that kind of cultures does take a little bit of time. But something else is, I love people trying to pronounce my name.
That is my next question. Like, did you have any funny like incidents, like somebody calling your name and like it is like they're mispronouncing your name?
Oh, every single day that happens. Every single day, like wherever I give my name.
Yeah, let's just first say your real name, how it is pronounced.
My name is Devika.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I cannot even tell you, Ellen, the different styles that my name has been pronounced in. But most of the times, people call me Devika. Like, I was like, okay, I'll go with it, fine. As long as I understand that you're calling me, I'll be there. But I completely understand, like, as we are also adapting that to that culture, they are also finding it difficult. But it is fun. Like, from my point of view, like, when I hear my name being so mispronounced, I sometimes go up to them and I'm like, it's not like this, it is supposed to be like this, and then I teach them like the phonetics behind it. They get it from time to time.
Like some Indian names are very long and difficult to like pronounce, similar to like Mani in our class.
Exactly.
His like full name is Mani Edison.
And
like one time one professor like was calling the attendance or something, and she was finding it difficult to pronounce the name.
Yeah.
And I told her, he was not there at that moment, and I told her, this is calling money.
I think that's what we all do.
Yeah.
But yeah, like most of the names, your name is like very easy to pronounce. Come on.
Pronounce, and it is common for
Yeah, it
English
is
people.
exactly. But yeah, I genuinely feel bad. Like even if I was the person doing the attendance call, my God, I would never do that.
Yeah. If you could bring any one aspect of a home country to this country, what would that be? For example, food or like anything.
Like something that I know I could bring is my family. Like
Okay, yeah.
hopefully one day soon. Missing them so much. So my family definitely, but oh, I got a nice one. My car and my scooter.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God, like I was so used to like driving, like reaching places on my own, that taking the bus has become like a
Yeah.
it's a journey of its own. Like if you know anything about like the bus service in London,
Yeah.
the bus will say it'll come and let's say 6:20. You're standing there at 6:20 in the bus stop. A minute later it says that it has already left. I'm like, where did it go from? Like above my head. Literally standing here. So yeah, definitely my car and my scooter.
Okay, nice. What car and scooter do you had back home?
I had an Aviator and I had an Ignis.
So you had work back home. Nice.
I didn't like go for like proper work. It was more of like film festivals and
Yeah. Are you missing any foods from back home?
come on, you know that. You ask any international students here, obviously they will say yes only. No one is up to eat Nutella bread for the entire time.
I mean, like what type of foods? Like
Everything. So I'm from Trivandrum.
Yeah.
One of the things that I miss like firstly my mom's food. Like nothing can beat it. Like we all know. Like our moms, they have special something.
it cooks, yeah.
Like 100% my mom's food is something that I miss. Like she can just make like a rice and give me curd, but it'll
And
still
it
taste
is
like
good,
better than like any 5-star food. That's a fact. But I'm from Trivandrum, and for all the Trivandrum people, they'll realize the emotion towards boli and payasam. I don't know.
Oh.
Are you familiar with that?
I know that, but
Yeah.
I don't eat usually, but I've eaten.
Yeah, so that's like such an emotion for all the Trivandrum people, and usually you get like some of the food like what you get back home. Now there are more Malayali restaurants, Kerala restaurants than what they were before, but boli and palpayasam is something that I've been like, it's just difficult. I've grown used to the fact that I won't be eating it for at least the next 3 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is something, and then like roadside chicken fry, beef, parota. I can go on and go on. This podcast can go on for like 3 hours naming food, but like generally like all the roadside foods.
You can name foods and like create like what you call, make people water, like
Mouth water.
mouth water, yeah.
100%. But yeah, genuinely I think when you think of back home, food was so accessible, and like when you think now much cheaper than what it is here, right? You can get a parota and beef for what, like less than $100 there. And like if you go like out here,
$100, like less than. Sometimes
no, I'm
50.
keeping like the bar pretty high, and I'm saying,
Okay.
but like when we go out and eat from in Canada, it'll minimum cost you what, $20.
Yeah.
20 CAD, and like thinking of that, and it's like so accessible, no? Like you go out, you take your scooter right to the the next street, and there's like there's a chetan selling
Tattagada.
parota, and tattagada with or in Trivandrum also like tattu doshas are very famous. So tattu dosha, sambar, pappadam and rasavada. My God. I'm gonna sit in a corner and cry after this.
Yeah. You can thank me later.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Did you encountered any funny or like any language barriers in hearing Canada, because you are speaking Malayalam and this is an English speaking country. So did you have any, not just with Canadians,
Yeah.
like anyone like who is international student here from any other country?
Um, so I studied in Dubai for a good chunk of my
Mm.
life. So language wasn't always like the biggest barrier for me.
Yeah.
But occasionally I hear some words which now I've forgotten. Like I was once working and a customer came and asked for this one very specific. He told this one very specific thing, and I really didn't have any idea. So I paged my manager asking him like, where do we keep this thing? And then she told me where we kept it. She came back and she was like, do you know what it is? I was like, no. He was like, it's just bathrobes. This is how people call it here. And then I was like, so there are like particular words
Yeah.
that people use
Yeah.
here, right? That I had like pretty funny incidents, like when I encounter those and I completely don't understand what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But again, like I have a very like supportive team at where I work, and who always like takes into consideration, and like even if I make any mistakes, because like as Indians we are so prone to correcting our own grammar and correcting like the grammar of people around us,
Yeah.
right? Like I always have my manager telling me, see, remember that second is your English is your second language.
Yeah.
It's not your first language. You don't have to be perfect always, right? So yeah, that is, I think that was definitely a moment that came to my mind.
Okay, what resources or support networks have been helpful to you or as an immigrant in like moving to like this country or like Canada? This question can be helpful to other immigrants who are watching.
True. So although half of Kerala is in Canada,
Half of Canada.
yeah, it is a fact, let's be honest. But I personally didn't know, like I didn't take help from anyone. Neither did I know like at that moment anyone who was in Canada. So I didn't have any networks particularly from here. But many people might know of this channel called Malayali 360, right?
Yeah.
You also know, right? So they were like very helpful, like not them in particular, but they have created this Telegram groups, like WhatsApp groups, which is like very beneficial. Like it's a brilliant thinking when you ask me, because there are students who are here and students who want to come in. Like anytime you ask some favors, it might be like a very general question, like is your visa process, like what is your visa status for this month? It kind of gives a relief in the mind of like students who are like eagerly waiting, like because they have no idea what like the visa processing time is and all. That was like a very helpful channel for me. Like for anything, like for a person who does not have any prior experience, neither does they have any support of anyone else here. Like channels like that are a really good way to reach out. And then I also looked at a lot of YouTube videos of like people here. And the funny thing is I have a YouTube channel of my own, and once I started making videos of my own about like life here and all, I actually had students reach out to me and ask me like how it is there. And so I just feel like it comes in a whole circle, like since we have gone through the struggle of that, like since we have gone through the struggle of not knowing anyone in the country, I think that is kind of very helpful.
Nice. So you guys can follow or subscribe to Devika's channel, and like you can ask her any question that you have also relating to like studies or like work here in Canada.
Yeah.
I think this podcast might be a little bit short, I guess.
Oh, you're out of questions.
I don't want to make it longer.
Fair.
I can make it longer. What advice would you like to the future immigrants who are coming to Canada for work or study?
I would definitely say keep an open mind. Be open to different cultures. As I've mentioned earlier, things are very different from what they were in India or like in different parts of the world. Like the culture of here in Canada, it is vastly different from anywhere else in the world. We have like so many people here from all different parts of the world, and it is very important that it's okay if you don't want to like, you don't want your culture to be lost, or you want to keep the value for your culture. It's completely fine, but you don't really have to enforce it on
Yeah.
anyone else, right? Or you don't have to like create an issue regarding anything like the culture differences or the belief differences. Kind of be open, like you can live happily, let everyone else live happily. Like I don't think there's necessarily a place to create an issue. Like a lot of things, whether that is like it's just a nice place, like everything is friendly, and I think we should also keep a very open mind towards that. Like for anyone who is coming here, it is very important, because I've heard like some people complain like, oh, this is not like how it was back home. It's like, it is not supposed to. It's another country with a different culture. It's not supposed to remind you of back home. If you're not ready for it, it's not their fault.
It's not just a culture thing. Like there are many people from different countries who are coming to Canada
Yeah.
for their work or study.
Exactly.
So they are bringing their own culture, and we are also bringing our own culture.
Our own
But
culture.
we have to think that we have to accept those cultures, and like, okay, we don't have to like stay in our own culture or like enforce our own culture to other people.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. I completely agree on that. Like I've heard like so many comments, like it might be like very offensive, very different comments. Like I don't even want to get into that. But so I oftentimes I tell them like, keep an open mind towards it. It is a different country after all. Like your culture is completely correct where you are. You're not wrong, but doesn't mean that other people also have to follow it, and you have to like enforce that on the next person.
I hope you guys got to know about more like Devika's experience of moving from India to Canada. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section, or I will tag Devika's channel there. You can go there and maybe ask her there. I hope you guys learned something new. If you don't, just keep subscribing, and I will like try to and like ask other immigrants who are coming to this channel, and I will be asking them questions, and they will share that experience. And if you have any question that I need to ask them, feel free to comment down below. And thank you, Devika, once again for coming to this podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Like it's, as I've mentioned, it's a beautiful platform to share everything.
Yeah.
It's a good job.
My goal with this podcast is basically to like educate other immigrants and also improving my own communication skills, because my communication skills are very low and I have a difficulty in speaking. So I guess it will improve as because of this podcast.
Yeah, one day you'll look back and be like, I'm so proud of myself. I'm
Yeah.
so proud of where I came from.
Yeah, I know. See you guys in another video. Bye for now. You can say bye.
Bye.
Okay.
In one way or the other, I was always involved in the FSU and listening to students, their needs. So that's how I never looked back. I just kept on going, and here I am.